Thursday the 3rd of July, and I've spent the morning investigating colour, which was part of the feedback from my first assignment. The last 2 evenings I've spent looking at abstract prints and what I like there, and a lot of the ones I've picked out have been really bright, colourful ones where I can see that people have used colour in pure forms and have overlaid the colours to mix them. And the feedback from my assignment was to try and do more of this, whereas I've been mixing my inks on the palette to get the colour that I want. The challenge now is to mix my colours on the paper, so that's what I've been doing this morning. And here's how I got on. I've had a wonderful time. So these are my 3 now exhausted plates. I started with blue, went on to yellow, and then finished up with red. And I use the calico inks, which are washable, which I prefer using. And I also this morning used much less ink and more of the transparent extender, and I found that's helped as well. So I started off by making myself just a small piece of lino to experiment with. This was an old piece that I found, which had the lines of a jigsaw on it, which was one of the very first designs I did on my printmaking 1 assignment, but this was just an old piece that's in my box of offcuts. And I just played around with it and added this little tortoise crawling towards jigsaw pieces, because I like the juxtaposition of the shapes, and that he might think he's a jigsaw piece and has found a friend. So it's a nice little cartoony piece to work with. Inspired by Picasso already, because what I did was just cut straight into the lino. I didn't draw it all out or plan it or anything, I just carved straight in to see what would happen. So I must stop saying so, I always used to do that at work. I worked straight into my sketchbook. Yesterday I prepared it by drawing some lines with a Sharpie pen and with a biro, just black vertical lines, because I wanted to test out the transparency of my colours and see how much each colour obscured the lines. And I also prepared by writing in my sketchbook all the different mixtures that I was going to make sure that I covered everything. So a blue, a red, a yellow, and then red over blue, yellow over red, and blue over yellow. And on the next page I've reversed the order as well. So I worked with blue plate first, then a yellow, then a red, and just printed my little piece of lino. That'll do for now. Right, so I go over the page. Oh, what I discovered there with transparency is the blue obscured the colours most, the underground lines most, then the red, and then the yellow, as to be expected, was the most transparent of all the colours. And then over the page here, I got the reverse orders, so blue over red, red over yellow, yellow over blue, and then blue, red and yellow all together to see what I could make with a black. And what I did was, just to guide me as to the order that I was working in, when I printed the first colour I printed a little tortoise, and when I printed the second colour I printed jigsaw pieces, so that I could tell the difference between which colour came first. I'd also prepared this page with my other coloured inks, black, white and raw umber, to do the same exercise, but it's taken me, I've probably spent two hours this morning doing all of this, so I'll have to come back and do them another day. But I'm quite excited by them, and I think the little tortoise and jigsaw things is quite a sort of African art appearance to it, so black, white and raw umber should be quite interesting to work with, and perhaps some oranges to get a sort of ethnic look to it. Okay, I've also got places set up in my sketchbook to just try each of the colours with white, again just to give me a reference point for where my pastel colours are going to come from, and I'll do the transparency test again with that. I suspect that white is going to obscure things quite considerably. And one of the artists I found, Michael Carlo, who I have worked with before, and I'm going on a course of his later in the year, he works from black upwards, so his first print is always a black rectangle, and then he works up from that with white sitting well on top of that, and leaving his black lines showing through. Okay, so yeah, looking more at these three here, I really like the effect of the blue over the red, and it sort of sparkles, and it's interesting how well the tortoise still shows through, but looking at the red over the yellow, where the tortoise has practically disappeared and you've just got jigsaw pieces with yellow and white lines, and the yellow of the blue, they've kind of stayed more even. And then going back to the first page, I did the reverse, so red over blue, yellow over red, and blue over yellow. So again, but I've now got a point of reference where I can see what's happening, and the centre one, the yellow over the red, I really like the effect of the sort of yellow and white lines under the red shapes. It's giving a lot more subtlety. What I also did there was, because I was only overprinting half of the strip, I made some little masks which you can see stuck in there, just to help me with the cutting off the colour. What I also realised as I was doing this is they, beside themselves, make quite an interesting effect and picture juxtaposed, and I got this real happy accident in the middle here, where you've got this little white shape and this line here which matches up and makes a continuous line. So that was much more by luck than judgment, but that's a really good thing. What I also did, just for fun and just playing into the lino, was did these little notches along the edge, and that sort of helps increase the sort of ethnic look of it. But I also found when I was doing these prints, it was really useful to be able to, where's my finger gone? Here. It was really useful to be able to count the notches, which gave me a way of sort of lining up and working out how much overlap I needed. So that's something to bear in mind for the future. Having discovered how good the strips looked alongside each other, I then started printing them side by side to make use of the in-between shape and the continuous line, and again for interest's sake, printing them upside down against each other, the tortoise and the jigsaw. They began to make quite a good overall pattern, and I started playing with those. So I've got some there where I've just rolled colour over the top, and some there, and more there. One printed in green because it's my friend's favourite colour, so I'll make her a bookmark with that one. Okay. And also, as I worked, as I was using each plate and inking it, I just kept just rolled a rectangle onto the paper, a separate piece of paper, so that I've got a reference point for my colours mixing, and that again is proving quite useful. I wrote my colours underneath, so again I'll get some idea of transparency, but I'm beginning to make myself a reference there with all the different shades on, and I've marked on the back of that the order that I did the colours in, so that I know for future. But in the middle here, I've got a really nice sort of tan colour, and then a dark purple. And I think what I'm going to have to do is go back and spend some time working on the blacks as well, because there's obviously all sorts of dark colours hiding, and checking again with the order and stuff to see what comes out and what sorts of blacks I can make. I've done them before by mixing purples and yellows, that sort of thing. So yeah, it'd be interesting to do an experiment with my blacks and greys range of colours.